We do want to turn now to this, something that is impacting Virginia right now in the wake of the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. There's been a lot of conversation on social media, and right now, the top leaders of education in Virginia are warning teachers about the things that they say online, and a very, very, very strong warning at that. To talk more about that, we have Emily Harrison, our reporter here at 13 News Now, who is covering this story here today. Emily, thanks for joining us on the stream. First time for you coming on. We appreciate that. Very strong words that were posted over the last few days by the leader of VDOE when it comes to teachers and what they are saying online. What did they have to say, and what could the potential consequences be?
Well, thanks for having me here, Eugene. And this warning is going to come directly from the top. It's going to come from Virginia Superintendent of Public Instruction. And this superintendent is basically warning Virginia teachers that they cannot be making any sort of messages either condemning or celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. You'll remember Charlie Kirk died last week while he was speaking at Utah Valley University. Right now, a 22-year-old suspect is in custody, arrested in connection to Kirk's death. And when Kirk died, I don't think it's inappropriate to say that there was a firestorm online with many, many people from both sides of the aisle really reacting to this. And this includes teachers from really all over the country. But we're going to be focusing on Virginia teachers on this. That superintendent warning teachers that they cannot be getting involved in this, and that if they do, there could be some consequences with this. The superintendent is directing local school divisions to find out who these teachers are and eventually report them to the Department of Education, where their license could be revoked depending on what was said on social media. We've also reached out to the Virginia the union that is going to be supporting these teachers, the Virginia Education Association, who says that they are not necessarily on board with this just yet. They say that they believe that teachers should be upheld and that they should be put on to a standard, making sure that no one is celebrating political violence. But they called it a bit of a political overreach, going on to private messages or private discussions that may be held in teachers' homes or discussions with their colleagues. So it's very interesting to see what exactly is playing out at this point and what potentially could happen to Virginia teachers.
Yeah, it is a very interesting conversation. And Emily, as you said, like they're particularly looking at any teachers they believe are condoning or celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And I believe some of the situations we've already seen play out where there have been calls across Virginia for certain members of boards and teachers to be fired because of things that they posted on their private accounts. And I know that you're working on this story today. You are actively trying to get people to speak to you, and you do already have one lined up, and that's an attorney looking at what, free speech?
Yes, our good old legal analyst Ed Booth, he agreed to talk to me sometime later today. I called him right before I got on the stream, and the first thing that he said is that yes, there's freedom of speech, but there's not freedom of consequences. I know that I can speak for us, and there's a lot of sports teams out there that when you join these organizations, you become a representative of that organization. And with that, there's a lot of standards that are held with this. There are very few speeches that are not protected. You can't say fire in a movie theater, and you can't make a direct threat to somebody, but a lot of things that you can say are legal. And so what these teachers might have said been perfectly legal, but it may not protect them from the consequences of their employer. I think that's going to be very interesting to see what that line may end up looking like, as again, there's freedom of speech, but not freedom of consequences.
Yeah, we're seeing that play out right now in Chesterfield County, where the school board, for instance, has called on for the resignation of one of their board members because of posts made about the death of Charlie Kirk. We've seen Governor Youngkin speak about this. We've seen Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl-Sears share about this, and they have been very passionate in their support of Charlie Kirk, but very much so in the wake of all of this, when they're seeing posts that they believe either condone or celebrate, they are being very outspoken that those individuals should not be able to teach children. So it will be interesting, Emily, as you go throughout your report today, how this all can move forward when it comes to freedom of speech and what those teachers may or may not have the ability to say on their own private social accounts and not. So anything else
No,
that
not really.
you're looking into with this matter? Maybe not to share, but any other questions I know that you may have regarding this?
I would just say it's very important to note, as of right now, this message came down last Friday, so we've only had a few days to really marinate in all of this. And as of that I'm speaking right now, no teacher licenses have been revoked that we know of because of any statements that have been made online. What happens in the future, and that's what the VEA was really hammering down on, is that they want to make sure that dialogue is there before any decisions were made, because it really also, what is the context of the message of what's being set up there, with either condemning it or celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. So this is something that is definitely going to be playing out in the future as we will be watching this intently.
Yeah, maybe it's one of those things where there's a social media expert or someone out there who can like break down even the freedoms that you have from posting. Who knows? And even the advice that they would provide
I think
for
the
what
best
you should or
advice
should.
is still just be careful of what you post.
Always.
You always have to be careful with what you post.
And you don't always have to speak. That's one thing for me that I am very strong about. You don't always have to say anything. All right, Emily, I know you're busy today, so I'm going to let you get back to it. We appreciate you coming on, and look forward to the next time you're on the stream, too.
Thanks for having me.
All right, look forward to that report, Emily. Thank you very much.